Yeah, I actually tested this in the copious time I had before you got on.
Yeah. Toaster strudels, man.
Did
I don't know why they
did
give
you
you...
take half an hour to put the icing on?
The icing, like, if the toaster strudel's hot, it just melts everywhere. What do I do with that? I don't know.
You blow on it a little.
I don't know.
Blow on it a little.
Yeah, but then it gets cool. I need it to be hot, but the icing needs to be cool, Ben.
Or
if only we could invent some sort of...
Pop-Tarts, you rich bastard.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the Words About Books podcast, where we pick a book and we discuss it. It's October, the spooky month, so we're sticking to a specific genre all month long. That's right, we're talking about gender studies, obviously. So, to that end, we are talking about Dracula by Bram Stoker. I'm Nate, as always, and I'm joined by Ben. His camera's turned on, and I just see his headset just floating where his head should be. So, Ben, are you there? Can
Actually,
you hear me?
I have been replaced by Count Benula. Yes, this is what we're doing. So friend Nathaniel. Well, friend is perhaps too strong word. Co-host Nathaniel. I have wanted to study now your English because people notice a slight and perhaps comical accent when I speak my words. So I have decided I'm going to speak with you in place of my good friend Ben, and I'm going to learn your English ways. Tell me, distant acquaintance Nathaniel, does the children of your beautiful England still say, "Isn't it, bruv?"
Yes. Yeah. I frequent England often because that's where I live. That's where I'm from. And they say that all the time.
Do they still snog the fit birds?
Yes. And they often wear like matching overalls and hat, and they hand out newspapers.
And your J.K. Rowling, is she still raging transphobe?
Only a very specific subset of trans people exist to her. And yes, she doesn't like them.
Oh, that is most unfortunate, because I am a big fan of the Harry Potter with his lightning bolt, and the guy with no nose. I love him. Yep, so we're talking about Dracula, and this is not my first reading. This is my, third or fourth. I've been over this a couple of times. I've seen all the movies. I've seen Nosferatu in its silent, restored wonder.
Oh, you'll love this. The first time I tried to read it, I got a few chapters in and I fell asleep and never revisited it. And then I tried to watch the movie, and I got about 20 minutes in and I fell asleep. I think there's a pattern here.
Which movie?
The one with Keanu.
Okay, that is probably the most book accurate, I think. Nosferatu takes a lot of liberties. Does
Nosferatu have a lot of over dramatic humans?
Jonathan Harker's character is significantly fancier of a lad, and I think they cut Lucy entirely.
Oh no! I thought Lucy was so great. Just the best character. I can't believe... Why don't we just have a Lucy movie, right?
Yeah, I think they cut Lucy entirely. It's purely about Jonathan and Mina and Dracula.
That's awful. You gotta have Dr. I've already forgotten his name. You gotta have Quincy in there. Quincy, because that's an American name, don't you know? Quincy.
Yeah, so Dracula, if you haven't read it, there's a popular perception of Dracula that I think is very different from the book. That's one of the reasons I wanted to read it.
I wasn't joking when I said that we're doing a thing on gender studies by reading this book.
I remember hearing, as far back as Interview with a Vampire, that like, I remember when vampires were scary. What's all this like romance and mystic and like, oh, why are they so romantic? And it's like, okay, Dracula was a soap opera. It's not a very scary book. I mean, any attempt at tension is completely undermined by Van Helsing simply refusing to tell anyone what we're dealing with at any point ever. By the time the reveal comes that, oh, there's a vampire, it's like the audience knows. The plot of Dracula begins with our good friend Jonathan Harker.
Good friends. We will be good friends for life now, you and I. You and me and I and you.
Yes. So Jonathan is a young lawyer.
Is that what he is?
I think
he was some sort of estate guy.
No, he's a solicitor. He's a private solicitor. It's confusing because they use that British nonsense talk. I don't know why they can't just say lawyer. He probably wears a wig to work. I don't know. They're strange
that sounds
people.
about right. Yeah, talking about America, like, oh, it'll be a superpower someday, I'm sure. Like, yeah, give it about 20 years, asshole.
Jonathan is a lawyer. He's a junior lawyer at this law firm that has been hired by this mysterious Romanian count.
Transylvanian, sir.
Where do you think Transylvania is?
Fuck, it was technically... Wait a minute. No, yeah, okay, fine. They got their independence by the time this was written. I was gonna say Transylvania was in the Ottoman Empire, but I guess it wasn't as of like 20 years prior. So fine. He's a Romanian now. But before that, he was an Ottoman. Ben.
There's a lot going on about that because, you know, the actual Vlad the Impaler was not a big fan of the Turks, as they pronounce it in the audiobook. But Jonathan is going to see the transfer and purchase of the England estate of this count. He doesn't want to be in Romania anymore. He's decided to move to England.
Capital idea, old sport. I also would rather be in England than Romania.
He wants to be in England where the hustle and bustle of life is happening. And so Jonathan is young and eager to please his boss, and so he's leaving his young fiancée, Wilhelmina Murray is her maiden name.
Oh my god, is that her full name?
Wilhelmina
Murray?
Yep. It
Oh
is
my
the female,
God.
the feminine William.
Oh god, I thought names now were bad, but like, damn, there was definitely a sweet spot, and this was before that.
She goes by Mina.
Yeah, good call. Wilhelmina makes you sound like you're about 40 years older.
I'm going to name my first daughter Benjamina.
I thought you were going to say Maureen.
Why would I say Maureen? Okay, go ahead, moving on.
She's definitely having Benjamin Button's disease if you named her Maureen.
I do not get the joke.
What, you've never, really?
If you're going to ask if I've never seen
You reverse age,
I
Ben.
haven't seen Benjamin
He was
Button.
born as an old man.
I understand
and
the
he
premise.
gradually became, yes, there you go.
I don't.
There's
what
not
is-
much more to it.
What does
than that.
Maureen have to do with it?
Because Maureen's an old woman's name and it's weird on a baby. You don't get born as a baby if your name is Maureen. You get born as an old person.
No, my first daughter is Benjamina, and my second daughter is Agatha Hagglethorne. Dracula, the book by Bram Stoker, is not a narrative traditionally. It's kind of, I don't know if it's the first to do this, but you might call it an old-timey found footage film, except it's a book.
Yeah, that's all they had back then.
It's written in the 1800s, but it presents itself as a collection of journals and papers and letters and news articles that, when put together in a particular order, tell the full story of these people encountering Dracula and having this horrific adventure. So Jonathan decides, as he's heading out to Romania, he must keep a diary, and he keeps his diary in shorthand. And that is a private little thing between him and his wife. She's learning shorthand to try to help him in his law practice. She's going to take
And it's awful. When it starts going to shorthand, it's dreadful. I can't believe someone would allow someone else to publish, like, AOL Instant Messenger logs as a book.
Did you read it in shorthand?
No, was it not said in shorthand or whatever? Towards the end, it's like she's talking, but they're skipping a bunch of words to make it more economical.
Yeah.
It's definitely in shorthand, and it's awful.
I guess, but I think they're talking mostly about, like, the shorthand symbols. None of the people he encounters in his travels can read his diary, which will eventually contain many secrets. So,
Ooh.
Jonathan heads off by train. He gets pretty far, but this guy lives, like, way out in the sticks.
Which is everywhere, because it's not England, am I right, chum?
That's right. Mate? They call people mate, right?
If they don't, at the very least, their offspring Australia does, so it counts.
Oh, God, don't even talk to me about Australia. He gets off the last train, and he goes to this rural village where he's going to catch a coach, like a horse-drawn coach, in the morning. When he gets to this village, all these peasants are, like, asking him, where are you going? And he says, I'm going to see Count Dracula, your lord and sovereign. And, he's expecting a rousing God Save the Queen or whatever those royalists do. And instead he's met with, like, a guy drops a glass, a record player scratches. Yeah. And everybody's like, what?
Start doing some prayers.
Yeah.
Start doing some prayers for the dead man.
Yeah. Yeah. And the lady who is running the inn is like, hey, what if you didn't, though? And he's like, no, I've got to go. And she's like, but, like, don't go. And he's like, well, he does sort of think they're being superstitious and weird. And
yeah. Because we're in a backwards part of the world.
These people definitely eat toaster pop-ups.
Yeah, exactly. The unfrosted kind, okay? Gross. It's because England and all of its cultural influences and civilizing presence hasn't touched this disgusting corner of the world. But don't worry, I'm sure there's a war coming up, and we'll just win everything. It's gonna be great.
So at the very least, this lady is like, okay, if you're gonna go there, you got to take this, and she hands him a cross and rosary beads. And
he's like, this is disgusting. It's iconic. It's an icon. It's disgusting. It offends me as an Englishman.
It's idolatry.
There you go. Fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know your words, your religious concepts, Ben.
Well, basically a few hundred years prior to this, Henry VIII wanted to get it on with another woman, and
several.
He couldn't get the Pope to approve a divorce, and so he created Anglicanism, and now we have to pretend that's a real religion with very serious moral beliefs. And one of those is, we don't do the rosary thing, fuck the Pope.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I get.
Marriage is still sacred, question mark.
Marriage is whatever you want it to be when you're Henry VIII and you're in control of the church. He's his own Pope. We should all aspire to be our own Pope. I think I should put that on a t-shirt. Yeah, so Jonathan, he doesn't want to take this, religious iconography. He doesn't believe in it, but he's going to be like, okay, it'll make her happy, and she's been really nice to me, so I'm going to take it. He gets out and he gets into this coach, and they start going a little further, and there's a few people with him. But it turns out it's the night of St. George's something or other.
Yeah, where the most evil of evil creatures have domain over the world.
Yeah, so they want to be in by, like, dark. They want to be back. And they they get to a point, they're not quite where he needs to be, and he's supposed to meet another guy who's going to pick him up, like a guy sent by the Count. And this is a good horror story right now. Like the whole first part with Jonathan's journal is like solid horror story, exactly what you would expect Dracula to be. This is the part that is most heavily ripped off by like video games and Dungeons and Dragons and all those like classic vampire things.
Yeah, because this is the best part by far. Later on, Dracula is going to be a whole lot less scary. It's going to be like killing a sleeping man.
So the coach stops at the place where they're supposed to meet his driver, and they wait like 30 seconds, and the driver of the coach is like, well, he's not here. I guess we better go, man. You're just going to have to stay the night in the next town until tomorrow. Let's go, let's go, let's go. But then this crazy, like, all-black coach with this creepy-looking driver pulls up, and the horses are all black, and they've got, like, red eyes.
I see nothing wrong here and no danger at all. Let's go.
Yeah, and the driver's like, oh, shit. The driver of the demon coach is like, you weren't gonna leave, were you? You weren't gonna, like, try to skip out on it. No, because if you did, well, you know, that could have been bad.
I would never even think about such a thing. But wow, look at the time. I'm sure you want to get acquainted with this Harker fellow. I'm gonna go now and like barricade myself in the 1900s equivalent of a panic room.
Yeah, and so then they all run away, and Jonathan Harker is left with his demon coach, which...
Nothing wrong here. I don't know what's going on. Everyone is like terrified, and there's a demon coach. There are weird like flames in the distance as we're approaching the castle. But,
so he sees... I
don't know why everyone's just weird.
On the carriage ride. And this is actually something that they do in most Dracula-themed movies, is the carriage ride, because this is kind of an important step. On the carriage ride, he hears like the constant howling of wolves. He sees these blue will-o'-the-wisp flames pop out, and the driver constantly gets out and goes to them and does something, and then comes back and he doesn't know what. And then it seems like they're going in circles, like he's never going anywhere. And I have heard a lot of people interpret this as like, this is Jonathan Harker's journey from like the real world to the spirit world. Like, this is where Dracula lives, in this land steeped in like myth and the supernatural and ghosts and dead things, and Jonathan is just a total alien in that world, and he's doing that classic 19th century horror novel protagonist thing where it's like, I'm an English nobleman well acquainted with science and learned of my letters. I do not subscribe to such ignorant superstitions. All I need is my diary and my pistol. I forgot my pistol.
And my stiff upper lip.
They get to the castle, and then the guy driving the coach, like, disappears. But it's okay, because the castle doors open on their own. And they're very heavy doors, and he's not sure how they opened, because, like, he's not even sure he could open them if he had to.
Huh. I sure hope I don't have to open them. That'd be really unfortunate if I couldn't get out. I'm sure I'll be fine.
And there, as he walks in, he is greeted by, hastily changing out of his stagecoach uniform, Count Dracula.
I was wondering why he did all of the servants' work.
So he can't keep servants, obviously. They will not stay.
Strahd could do that shit, right? I was expecting him to just like hypnotize himself up some servants or whatever. Didn't expect him to do all the grunt work himself. It's
meant to be subtly fishy. I the first time I read it, had hoped that Dracula had another person. Like, I had hoped the stagecoach guy was like a lesser vampire or something. That to me would have actually been scarier.
It was just him.
No, it was just him in disguise. But the stagecoach guy is like really young and spry and strong, and Dracula's supposed to be like not any of those.
Is this supposed to be like a weird British thing? Like, he's a count, but he does servant's work. Oh my god! He cleans his own castle?
It's not about them being aghast that a nobleman would stoop to menial tasks. It's more about the fact that Jonathan Harker is slowly realizing he's completely alone here. For a while there, he thinks, there's servants. I'm safe. There's other people here. This guy can't get away with anything. Like, other people will see if something goes wrong. But then he slowly realizes, like, nope, no one's going to hear him scream. He's alone with this demon.
What are the odds that things are going to go wrong? Like, this is just a simple real estate transaction deal.
Right. So the first thing, Jonathan's thinking, I'm going to be here like a couple days. We'll iron out the specifics. We'll dot some T's, cross some I's, and we'll just be on our way. And then Dracula, first thing, invites him to dine with him. And,
awesome. I love food.
Yeah.
I'm really hungry.
I have often heard that you Englishmen like to eat your carbon-based life forms.
Yes. Some spotted dick, please.
We have that in abundance. And so Dracula has this magnificent table laid out, and Jonathan like tears in, and Dracula's just sitting there like watching his throat kind of longingly, and then Jonathan's like, aren't you gonna eat? And he's like, oh no, I do not eat of the food at the night. I have already supped on my dinner. I don't know. There's a lot of confusingness with supper and dinner. I don't get that. That's an English thing.
Is that? Yeah, I don't even use the word supper.
I've never said the word supper unironically in my life.
I heard it as a kid, and then we just started using dinner.
In the civilized world, it's dinner. They do correct themselves. Like I don't know which one's lunch, and I don't know why they don't say lunch.
I honestly thought they were the same meal. The supper and dinner were both.
I did, meal. But there's at one point in the book where somebody corrects themselves, like they realize the time. And it felt to me like I was looking at like a Japanese textbook where they're explaining to me that like...
I even looked it up. Oxford Dictionary says it's an evening meal, typically a light or informal one.
Ah, okay.
We had a delicious cold supper. God, that sounds awful.
Yeah, no, it's like you eat the...
You want some cold supper? Oh, no.
The petit déjeuner. But yeah, there's 3 meals. There's breakfast, brunch, and dinner.
Yeah. America 1... Britain 0, okay?
Specifically England. Specifically. You know what? I got nothing against Wales and Scotland. My beef...
What is Wales? Isn't that just like part of England?
Oh, you're going to piss off. There's going to be a stream of nonsense syllables coming at you that I can't understand, but I know that guy's angry by the way he's saying it.
There's no vowels in there. It's just consonants on top of consonants. I don't even know. God,
adding Cardiff to the list of cities I can't go to. Jonathan watches the Count not eat, but the Count watches him, and the Count tells him, I'm going to need you to be like my right-hand man, Johnny. I'm going to need you to like hang out with me. I'm going to need you to be around me 24/7. Well, not 24/7, maybe like 8-7, because like I'm gonna go do some weird shit most of the day that you cannot see if you ever look. I can't guarantee your safety. It's a land of bad dreams out here. Like in your beautiful England, there's a lot of good dreams, but you never been to Transylvania. And if you fuck around in Transylvania, John, you're gonna find out. Okay, so don't fuck around, but hang out with me, talk to me, teach me English. I need to blend into English society. I need to really like absorb myself in it. I need people to not know I'm not English because, if people knew I wasn't English, they'd notice me. And if they noticed me, they'd be able to tell a cop that they saw me. And I don't need that, John. I don't need fucking cops around. Okay. You're not a cop, are you, John?
Oh, this is perfect. I can stick around for a few days, and help you out. I see nothing wrong with this suddenly loud and somewhat aggressive request of yours.
Very
I am
good.
a little weirded out that you haven't eaten, but, you said that you ate earlier, and I'm gonna believe that.
Hey, Jonathan, what's that? What's that behind you?
Huh?
Clattering of dishes. Oh, the servants were just here. You just missed them, John.
Oh.
They cleared the table while you went looking.
Oh, okay. All right.
You gotta really be
that's
a little
efficiency.
quicker on the uptake there, John.
Yeah, my bad. Do I have to teach all of them English too, so that they don't?
Oh
blend in, or they blend in, or-
no. They're not coming.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess they're just gonna stay here and keep your castle in tip-top shape or whatever.
Yes, my crumbling, desolate castle.
Yeah, there sure are a lot of rooms in here. Can I go into all of them?
You can go into some of them. I would avoid the West Wing, were I you. As I have said previous, you fuck around, John, you find out. You know? So don't fuck around, John. Okay? Good boy.
I'm sure nothing bad is gonna happen.
I think I'll just give you the highlights of Jonathan Harker's stay.
I think I'm gonna shave and just start cutting my face. Is that what you like? You like getting my face cut?
Don't cut too deep, John. Your blood might leak out. And then I don't know what would happen.
It's very weird that I didn't even see you come up behind me in this mirror that I'm holding in my hand.
Oh, who gave you a mirror? John, what did I tell you about fucking around and finding out? Smashes the mirror. No, friend John, you don't need a mirror. By the way, just take a fingerful of your neck blood and I just suck on it. Oh, that's so good. That is the first thing I have eaten in years. I mean, you didn't see that. So, John, about your leaving. You're definitely going to do that, John. I definitely think.
Awesome.
I definitely think you're going to get out of here. There is just
Great.
one thing, John. I need you to write 3 letters. I need you to write one to any loved ones who might be looking for you. I need you to write one to your boss, and I'm going to go ahead and send those for you. And they're going to say that you're already on your way, that you left like yesterday, but you stay. But I'm going to tell them you're on your way. Just in case, John.
Yeah, just in case of what?
Misadventure.
Okay. Alright. Hey, I was trying to get around your castle. There are a lot of locked doors.
Oh, boy, John, that sounds a lot like fucking around. And what do we say about that in Transylvania, John? You fuck around, you...
find out?
That's right, John. You fuck around, you find out. So don't fuck around, John.
Yeah, alright. I guess I'll just write these letters for you.
Yes, you write the fucking letters, John.
Yeah, so when am I actually gonna get to leave?
I gotta go,
count.
door shut.
Alright,
door lock.
I guess. Okay, I guess see you later.
So then later that night, Jonathan decides to wander around again because Jonathan doesn't know what's good for him.
Hey, there's a locked door here, and I really want to get in there. So maybe I just break in. I'm gonna do that. I'm sure nothing bad will happen. I'm gonna just break in. I'm sure it's nighttime. He's probably asleep, right? I'm just gonna break in. I'm just gonna break in this room. Just one door.
Here's the voice of Dracula in the back of his head, like, Jonathan, I want you. Do not fall asleep in strange places. And Jonathan's like, no, you know what? He's not my dad. He's not my real dad. I don't have to listen to him. I'll fall asleep wherever I want. I'm gonna fall asleep right here on this veranda. Smash cut to a shaken Jonathan, shell-shocked, like bags under his eyes. Shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that at all. Let me tell you what happened, dear diary. And that's when we find out that Jonathan was attacked by the 3 brides of Dracula. I actually love this scene.
1, 2, 3 brides.
I was waiting for one of us to do this. But yeah, so there were 3 beautiful, seductive,
voluptuous, I assume.
Very sharp-toothed women came to John, and they were like,
I like everything about that except for the last thing.
they're like, oh, look at him. He is so tasty and full of blood. Who wants to go? And then it gets...
I know something that's full of blood. Am I right, ladies?
Let's be very clear. This is like... We have fun on Words About Books, but we also do serious academic work, okay? So I would be remiss in my intellectual duties if I did not point out that though we have fun with it, this scene is very sexual. Like, these three super hot women are like hypnotizing John. They're drawing him in. And this is like how the discussion goes. Which one of us gets to go first?
Why not all three at once?
They're like, you go first. I like it when they're warmed up. It gets weird. And it's obviously intentional. And this is what I'm going to say. This is kind of how I described it to Nate in like our private conversations, is Dracula is like maybe 20% horror novel, 80% repressed Victorian sexuality. Because the monsters almost always are sexual. The vampire bite is strangely intimate.
Bite me harder.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that. So we're actually going to get to one of the problems right now. Is because Jonathan is about to get torn apart by these three women. And
he is.
Not in the fun way.
Could it be the fun way first?
Dracula comes in with a sack that contains some kind of squirming, screaming. It's a child. He comes in with a child he has kidnapped to feed to these women. And he yells at them and he tells them, like, how dare you? I told you specifically you can't have this one yet. And he gives them the child instead, and they like toy with him and flirt with him. And they're like, oh, you're always so mean to us, Daddy. Why do you always withhold the best parts, Daddy? Like they really lean into it. And we will see later on that all female vampires in the book, I think there are 4, these 3
right.
And another one.
Yeah, these 3 and one more, that makes 1, 2, 3, 4 female vampires.
I did walk into that one. All the female vampires are always described as voluptuous and wanton. And seductive, and their red lips and their milky white bosoms. It's almost like
my god.
This is where Dresden gets it, guys.
Red hair? Is that...
No.
Nope. No. Well, no, of course.
You have a very particular sexuality. I am ginger sexual. Can't get it up if there's not at least a tinge of the ginge.
Tinge of the ginge.
It's a Tim Minchin song, I think. You gotta have a tinge of the ginge in your menge.
God damn it.
So Dracula saves Jonathan, and Jonathan is kind of like messed up mentally. He can't be entirely sure if he actually had this experience or if he dreamed it. But at this point, he is pretty dang certain if he doesn't do something uncharacteristically brave, he's gonna die here. Because Dracula has also now taken his coat and his suitcase, and
those are the things that make a man a gentleman.
Well, those are 2 very distinctive articles of clothing that mark him as a Britisher. Everybody else wears these like kind of Romanian peasant garb, and so he's dressed in, a 3-piece suit or whatever, and he's got this big overcoat, and Dracula leaves the castle to mail the letters wearing Jonathan's clothes. And so he's kind of establishing that, hey, Jonathan left my castle. I didn't He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't go missing here.
Yeah, because someone in Romania was going to rat him out if he just mailed them himself. They would have been like, "Oh yeah, those letters, Dracula sent those."
I don't know. I don't think that's too handled badly at all, because the peasants do kind of talk shit about him behind his back. Like, I think if they saw an opening, they'd go for it, but nobody wants to be the first one. Nobody wants to be the first one in, but like, everybody wants to get rid of him. And
that's the real horror. The working class rising up to get rid of their betters.
Let them eat toaster strudel. So there's also another really good scene where Dracula climbs down the castle wall and like climbs back up like a lizard.
Yeah. One has to wonder why when you can fly.
Yeah. Shut up. It was a good scene.
It was a good scene.
It was a good creepy scene. Maybe Dracula doesn't have a climnasium around him, okay? Maybe in rural Romania, you just got to do it the old-fashioned way.
A climnasium, God.
Do you not have those?
No.
Oh, no. We like climbing gyms where they have those like fake rock walls with the handholds and
I
stuff.
know of one. I didn't know it was called a fucking climnasium.
Yeah, man. You gotta work on that upper body strength. If you're gonna be a bookman, you gotta do a lot of heavy book lifting.
Yeah, no, I got a little ways up. I looked down and went, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die."
Nah, you won't die. You'll wish you had.
Yeah. You look down and you go, "Holy shit!" And you think, like, the logic part of your brain is like, "I'm attached to this rope, like, easy. Just let go and assume a same position. I'll be fine." And your lizard brain is like, "Well, I'm living up here now because the second my arms get too weak, I'm falling to my death."
So you know kind of what Jonathan's predicament is here. You've actually really inhabited Jonathan's mind, because that's what he's thinking too. He's like, I can't get out of here. All the doors are locked. The doors weigh like 3,000 pounds. I can't move them.
Also, there were wolves. Dracula almost turned on me. I really don't want to be eaten by wolves.
I forgot about that scene, because there's a scene where Jonathan's like, I gotta leave now. And Dracula's like, of course you can leave if you want. You know, I mean, sure, let's go take you out right now. Are you sure you won't wait till morning? And Jonathan's like, no, I gotta go right the fuck now. And Dracula's like, okay. And he takes him to the front door. And then Dracula like puts his hand on Jonathan's chest and then puts his hand to his ear. And he's like, but wait, what's this, Jonathan? And then he does like a little come here motion. And all of a sudden, all these wolves like circle around. And he's like, oh, Jonathan, I don't know. It's wolves, man. I don't know if you want to go out there. And he like winks at him. He like winks at him and he's like, so Jonathan has to venture down. And he ventures down twice. I forget why he goes the first time.
Does he go twice?
He does go twice. That's a big deal.
I remember him going, I need to get down there. Oh yeah, he goes to the Count's room. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, he goes into the Count's room.
He takes some of his money. And he also tries to kill him with a shovel.
I forgot he robbed him. He finds the Count, like creepy, sleeping in a coffin kind of thing.
It's like, oh my god, he's sleeping in a box of earth. I'm gonna kill him with this shovel.
And so it's getting down to the wire. The Count is just about ready to move out of the castle.
Was Dracula always planning on fucking John over, or was it because John started looking around? I got the idea that this is going to happen no matter what.
So I don't know if it's explicit. Like, I have a private theory that Dracula's cutting loose ends. Like, I think he always intended to kill Jonathan simply because Jonathan knew his affairs.
Yeah.
I think he killed Jonathan's boss as well.
Well, his boss does die, so
suddenly and without warning, yeah.
Yeah, I assume that was the case.
I think he had always planned on getting rid of his lawyers, because he does ask Jonathan a few pointed questions about, in England, can you have multiple different representatives? Can I hire like 3 law firms to represent me and, for example, not tell them about each other? so that I can compartmentalize information of all my affairs so that nobody really knows what I'm about. You know, like a drug dealer. And Jonathan's like, yeah, hey, in England.
Good job, John. It's like if he asked, John, let's say, hypothetically, you went missing. Who all knows you're here? Did you tell anyone that you came here? And also, if you did, where might I find those people? Just asking, totally hypothetical, nothing bad's gonna happen to you.
But yeah, I think Dracula cuts people loose when he's done with them. I think that's how he's made it this long.
Sounds like a Dracula thing to do.
But yeah, so he gets in these Romani people. They're used specifically by Dracula because I think they're like outsiders everywhere except their own community. And so I think there's a little bit of good old-fashioned racism going on here because they seem to know what Dracula is and they don't care. They're totally cool with it. What Dracula's loading into these crates is a generous supply of dirt from his private churchyard.
Oh.
Yes.
Nothing strange here, I'm sure. I gotta go.
Yeah. And now that Jonathan notices that, Dracula, leaves. And Jonathan's still locked in this room. And if Jonathan doesn't get out now, those 3 women are going to finish what they started.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, no, I'm gonna be married soon, so I can't indulge. Guess I gotta climb down the wall and run away.
Yes.
All the way to Hungary.
At that point, the book then cuts away from Jonathan's perspective.
Yeah, it does, in a big way.
Much to Nate's frustration.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God, if I don't make it, I love you, Mina, or something like that, or God save me, Mina, or whatever.
He says, I hope this finds its way to you. God help me.
Yeah, and then you just don't hear from him for half of the book, and then it cuts to Lucy and Mina writing. Lucy is just, God, she's so charming and attractive. She's got 3 suitors that have all proposed marriage so they can do the Victorian equivalent of sex on her, which is fully clothed and in the dark. And she has to pick which rugged man to marry. It's so hard. She's got to let these other 2 men down gently because she doesn't want to crush their hearts and their spirits. But she only loves one man who she thinks loves her, but hasn't said anything.
There's a line in all that where she says something like, this is peak men writing women. This is men desperately hoping this is what women say about them behind their back.
What is the test they're failing right now where 2 women are only talking about a man?
The Bechdel test.
The Bechdel test.
She says something this isn't an exact quote, but something like, oh, Mina, why must men be so good and so brave? What have we women done to deserve them? I'm like, yeah.
Oh, man.
No woman in the history of humanity has ever said that.
This is what the book is about, actually. The differences between men and women, and how manly men are, and how dainty and fragile women are, and so emotional.
I don't know if I fully agree with that, but the book does ruminate on gender roles a lot more than you would expect a book about deadly vampires to do. And hear me out. And I think it's because at its core, this is supposed to be a sexy Victorian thriller.
Yeah, this was actually erotica back when it came out, and just over time, it's become horror.
It is barely acceptable.
Oh my God, it was so steamy, I could see half of her midriff! I almost fainted at the sight of it, and blood shot out of my nose like a hose.
Okay,
they're
not hentai characters. So, the vampire story has always been about sex. I think the transfer of blood from one person to another, the exchange of fluids, I think it's always been sexual.
and Dracula couldn't just grab someone's dick or something.
Okay, hear me out. I think that the book talks about the differences between men and women, not so much because Bram Stoker has any kind of complicated thoughts on gender. I think
that was the time period.
Hear me out. Would you agree that Mina is perhaps the smartest person in this book?
She's got the mind of a man, Ben. But she's got the constitution of a woman. We can't give her any information because she'll faint and also...
I don't think that Bram Stoker has any enlightened opinions on gender. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that this is a feminist novel by any stretch of the imagination. Lucy is an infantilized sex puppet. That is a thing. But Mina is probably like close to being the main character of the book. Kind of Mina, Van Helsing, and Dracula are who this book is really about. And everybody else is just side characters adjacent to them.
Yeah, there's a lot of time spent on Dr. Seward, though.
But Dr. Seward does not have main character energy.
He's got his own antagonist, though.
Dr. Seward is like big B plot energy.
Yeah, he's the main character of the B plot.
I would grant you that. But I think the decision to make Mina so smart and so resourceful and...
So it will be tragic when us men have to go save her from death.
I think this book is not so much about gender roles as it is about the relationships between young men and young women at this particular moment in history. Everybody in this book wants to have sex with everybody else in this book. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say there is any, like, I don't know if the dudes want to get with the other dudes, but god damn do they respect each other's manliness and manhood.
Yeah, but they're just friends. You know that because they say that every time they greet each other. How's it going, friend John?
They're just good friends who go camping every other weekend.
Friend John, how are you doing? You want to go hunting? How's the old ball and chain? Your beautiful, pure wife.
Okay, so we should describe who these people are. Mina is Jonathan Harker's wife. Lucy
soon-to-be wife. They're engaged at the beginning.
You're right. She's Mina Murray at this point.
And they get married in Hungary, so, like, does it really count?
Well, they get married by a Catholic priest. Does it really count? Or I guess an Orthodox. I guess an Orthodox priest. Interesting.
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
No, it might be Catholic. I don't know. Anyway.
I'm pretty sure it's Catholic, because it was Austria-Hungary. It was majority Catholic.
Anyway. Lucy is, like I said, an infantilized sex muppet. She is just the sweetest, purest little angel who...
Yeah, I would never, ever picture having sex with her. I mean, maybe just in one position. It's Victorian times after all, you know. But, you know, like, she's so pure. I'm definitely not attracted to her.
Everybody is constantly remarking on how adorable and sweet she is, including Mina. And I know people expressed themselves differently back then.
Big sister energy.
Yeah.
But you know that, you know.
Okay, so I know people...
Not written down in the diary, they sometimes have sleepovers, and they bust out the pillows, and they start having a pillow fight. You know what I mean, man? It's totally normal for the time.
Mina and Lucy write to each other, and Mina will eventually go to stay with Lucy for a while. For most of the time Jonathan is away, that's what she's been doing. Lucy has had marriage proposals from 3 suitors. The 3 suitors are, in order of masculinity. Jonathan Seward, renowned psychologist who has his own lunatic asylum. Hello. But otherwise, he's kind of boring and
lives
weird.
in question mark?
Yeah, he lives
Live
there.
in the-
No, he lives there.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Everybody lived where they worked back then. You got a bakery, you live upstairs. You got a lunatic asylum, you live upstairs. Then there is Quincy Morris.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Quincy Morris is the chief of these three in terms of manliness. He's American, he's stout, he's jacked, and when they go hunting, he's the guy calling the shots. I think he's number one in terms of manliness.
He's definitely number one in terms of muscle. Like, he is the toughest physically of the three. And he's a sweet talking, like slang speaking American man. And
Oh my god, he doesn't call me friend John, he just calls me John. I don't even know how to respond to that half the time.
then there is Arthur, Lord Godalming himself, who is
there's a reason why he's the last on that list in terms of manliness.
well, he's also the richest. He's
Yeah.
also a lord, which, as I understand, in Britain is relevant still.
According to Agatha Christie, it means you just kind of hang around your estate and you just never have to worry about money. You've always got servants on hand. And if you or someone close to you die, a detective will show up to solve the mystery.
Well, like, the whole point of being a lord was that you had the land and presumably the ability to raise an army to defend it, which certainly is no longer. Do you all still have lords over there?
They do have the House of Lords in
Wow.
Parliament, so I think they do still have lords.
Why?
And the biggest one is the king, who, you know, should
Hmm.
probably, he and the whole royal family should just be like
People?
kicked off their estate and thrown into the ocean and their stuff confiscated for the common good. I'm just spitballing here. You guys really need to get rid of your kings. Everyone else has done it.
Let them retire and just be like rich people. The ginger one, the one you apparently would probably like. He's good. I like him because he quit.
No.
Now
No.
he's just a rich dude
No.
wearing fancy suits.
You don't get to be a rich dude, okay? You have two options, all right? Death or also death. Those are your options.
I'm willing to negotiate. I'm willing to let you just be a rich dude, but you gotta quit calling yourself Lord.
I'm really annoyed at those guys though, because they're like, "Oh, we didn't have enough security for our young baby child," and I yelled at the TV, "You're rich. Just hire some security. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't have enough security. You're loaded. You can hire someone 24/7 to watch you."
What are the odds?
frustrating.
What are the odds Harry has ever had toaster strudel?
He's probably had it with like caviar and like it's not even toaster strudel. It's just strudel. Disgusting. You take the toaster out of the strudel, you're no longer relatable, man.
Truth. You're spitting hot bars right now. Okay, so I think we were at Arthur. He's a lord. He's rich. He wins the Honorable Lucy's hand.
Yeah.
And Lucy, I don't know why a lord is going after Lucy. She's hot. We have established that.
Yeah, she
but
is.
she's. I
Do
guess
you know
she's
the things
rich.
I would do to her whenever she had her girdle off and her corset off and like the lights were turned off so I couldn't see her full body.
I would burrow into
God.
those petticoats like a chipmunk.
So yeah, all right, Lucy. She's getting married. She's hanging out with friend Mina,
Okay.
fair Mina,
Now I
beloved
remember.
Mina.
Now I remember what I wanted to say. There is sexual tension between Lucy and Mina. I know
God.
that people in olden times expressed affection differently, but there are things Mina says that I think are a little sus. Every time Lucy like wakes up or pouts or does any of the other adorable things she always does, Mina has at one point commented that like, oh, she woke up with that pouty look that I love so much, and that she tells me Arthur loves so much, and I can see why he does. And it's like, what does that mean? What was that last part? What was that last part about what you could see what he means? Are you seeing her the way he sees her? Because I have an idea how he sees her. And
in the dark,
yeah,
we both close our eyes. It's the Victorian way.
I get what you're saying, but like, I think there's some tension between Mina and Lucy. Some tension. I'm not saying they ever acted on it, but there's some tension. And I don't think it escaped Bram Stoker that would be hot. So the story then, it takes a big long break and kind of resets. So we had the whole thing with Jonathan going into the like spirit realm and going into this horror, and then it just stops that dead, which I don't really care about, but you really hated the tone shift. But it shifts drastically back to merry old England, where everything is just fun social obligations and everybody's pairing off and getting married, and we're playing like matchmaker.
Croquet.
And the girls are hanging out and going on walks, and the guys are hanging out and going on walks. I think John Seward's the only one that has a job, and he just got rejected by
and he's got like one whole lunatic in his entire asylum apparently. So
he's got one
that
that's
hard.
like big crazy.
Yeah, he eats creatures to absorb their power, and then he's like, wait, what if I breed these creatures, and then other creatures eat them, and other creatures eat them? What if I just ate a whole bunch of like cats, that ate a whole bunch of birds, that ate a whole bunch of spiders, that ate a whole bunch of flies? I'd have so much energy and power.
To be fair to him,
do you even lift, bro?
I think we all eat things to gain their power.
Yeah, and this guy didn't realize, like, dude, just eat your steak. You know how much shit that cow is eating? Damn, son.
Well, grass. I mean...
Yeah.
But
You know how much
predators...
energy from the sun? Fine, get some lion meat in here.
Predators
Happy?
don't taste good. Lions don't taste good. They taste too much ammonia.
Neither do flies, Ben.
Well,
but you know what?
You're not wrong.
You eat those goddamn predators because you want their power. You want the power of a lion.
I do
not
want
the power of a
lion.
fucking cat.
You're right. I do want the power of a lion.
And that's why he's insane. Going after rats and shit. He should be going after lions.
I shall have to name his condition. Perhaps I'll call it zoophagia, eater of life. And I was like, doesn't that just mean eater of animals? Which, like, we all do?
Yeah, I don't think it's the eating that's his problem. I think it's the fixed delusion he has about the eating.
Yeah,
but,
well...
I guess...
Every doctor in this is a bad doctor. It's very apparent that Bram Stoker knew nothing about medicine.
I mean, to be fair, the medicine at the time was...
better than this.
Get high. You're having some aches and pains? Get fucked up on this stuff. You will stop feeling everything.
Brandy does cure everything.
I was talking about barbiturates. Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Like Xanax, but better, am I right?
We gotta get back on track. So
this is the novel. I don't know what you're talking about.
Mina spends some time in, I forget what the town is called, but wherever Lucy lives.
Right.
So Lucy and Mina are hanging out, right? And then she's hanging out with these old salts down by the graveyard that overlooks the bay. This is another one of your favorite scenes. We both listened to the same audiobook. This is a fully acted one. I chose it because it had Tim Curry in it. Tim Curry is barely in it. He plays Van Helsing. I'm not convinced anyone on the cast knows what a Dutch person sounds like, because they kind of just do a vague Eastern European. My Dracula is about as good as their Helsing.
And also, The Holland... It's not in Eastern Europe, guys.
Yeah, that's what confused me. They do like a Russian
Europe
kind of thing. Yeah, so there's that. That's beside the point. But the actress who plays Mina in the audiobook, she fancies herself something of a character actor. like she does a lot of voices. Most of the other actors, when they have to like tell like a conversation with another character, they don't really go for it quite as much as like Mina's voice actor goes for it. And Mina does a lot of accents, and there is this old salt who talks in like a very, very jargon slang dialect of like North England.
Scottish.
It's not quite Scottish, but it's definitely Northern. And
it definitely sounded like someone who kind of knew what a Scottish person stereotype was, and like they just went with that.
I didn't read Scottish
and
from it.
They just leaned into it.
Yeah.
And the captain, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember anything he said. I don't remember anything about this. I just remember hating the accent and being like, please God, let this hurry up and be over.
So I could understand her, but you couldn't. But also I've read the book a couple times. So what he's talking about is
My eyes glazed over through the first like third of the book after the castle, and I picked it back up around the time there was a mysterious lady feeding on children.
Unfortunately, we're bookmen, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to just skip a huge chunk of the book. We got to talk about it.
Hey, I didn't skip it. I was exposed to it, and my brain rejected it.
What he's talking about is the graveyard they're sitting in. His big focus is that all of the tombstones are full of lies. That they say all these nice things about all the people that dwelt there, but really, all of those people were horrible. And he tells stories about several of them, and basically one of them was like, oh, beloved son or whatever, and it turned out that his mother had basically driven him to suicide, but she said it was an accident so that she could still collect the insurance money. And he's just kind of
but you're not going to put that on a grave, dude. I'd be like, here lies my grandfather. He was a dick and I hated him.
No, but it's doing something for the atmosphere. This is why I didn't mind the tone shift so much, because they're going back to England, where everything is sunny and happy, but he's kind of setting the...
Scottish men are just the fucking worst.
But he's kind of setting the tone that it's not what it seems. Underneath, there is darkness. And
don't look underneath there. Like I said, when the clothes come off, the lights go off. It's that simple.
And all the while, Dracula is on his way to England. And as Dracula approaches
I actually thought he was already there, but then, like, no, he sure was taking his time. There was, like, a boat.
Okay, this is all happening at the same time. So, Jonathan is thinking about escaping the castle, Dracula is already on the boat. Mina has been staying with Lucy for weeks. So we kind of went back in time to start Mina's story.
Thank God. Am I right?
I don't mind it. I think it establishes that England is in the real world, like the happy world, the holy world. And Dracula is bringing his supernatural darkness with him. Somewhat literally in the earth he's bringing with him. So one of the big things that happens, we have to talk about Dracula's boisterous arrival on the British shores. This is another whole set piece where a ghost ship crashes into the shore during a storm. There's a huge storm and there's lots of fog, and this is an interesting scene because when Dracula arrives, it's like the whole world goes dark. And
God help us all. He brought Eastern Europe to our fair shores.
And the ship crashes into the harbor. And after it beaches itself, people go onto the ship and they find that the captain has lashed himself to the ship wheel. I don't know anything about ships. The steering wheel for the ship.
Steering wheel for the ship.
He lashed himself to that. I know nothing about boating. Captain, who is also Russian. I think he is Russian. He's
he
Russian.
is. Yep.
He writes a ship's log so that we know what happened.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
There is a lot of like people conveniently deciding to write down everything exactly as it happened, especially this very thorough sea captain. It does get a little ridiculous. I enjoy the kind of clever ways they come up with to like the doctors are taking notes on a case. That makes sense. Mina's practicing shorthand by keeping a journal in shorthand. So is Jonathan, because that's how they're going to talk to each other. And that's cute. It's a cute framing device. It's kind of like why the Paranormal Activity people have cameras all through their house, but like it's a little stretched at places. And the ship's log is one of them. The ship's log basically tells the story of they picked up, 6 mysterious crates of clay bound for England. They left the port and things go well for a little bit, but slowly the men start to have like a rumor go around, and they're getting all skittish and they're afraid to be alone. And the first mate is just going ape shit about it. He's like, you just gotta beat them into shape, man. You just gotta tell these men, if they are that they need to just do their goddamn jobs and there's no fucking man wandering around at night. And then the captain's like, okay, well, didn't need your aggression. Yeah, I'll have a word with them and it'll be okay. And then the men start going missing, which is strange because it's a small space. Yeah, it's not a lot of place to get lost.
Where are you running to? It's a boat.
And then more people disappear, and then more people disappear, and then the first mate's just going crazier and crazier. And so the captain starts to suspect, by the time it's just him and the first mate, that like, oh, he's a little uncomfortably crazy. And then the first mate runs out from the bottom of the deck. He's like, I saw him. We're fucked. And then he jumps off the ship. And the captain's like, oh, that crazy guy killed everybody. I don't know how I'm going to explain that.
But let me write it down in a diary so that I can.
This is not looking good for old Captain Vladimir.
Dear diary, crazy man killed entire crew. Really unfortunate.
He lashes himself to the wheel and he starts writing, I guess, with the hand he didn't lash to the wheel. This is kind of, again, weird. And he's like, by God, I've seen the man too. And he just dies. Then he dies.
Lashes himself to the wheel, and he's got a crucifix in his hand.
He's got a crucifix in his hand, and that crucifix in his hand keeps Dracula from touching him.
Well, didn't Dracula need him to steer the ship?
I don't know what he died of.
Died of being in a fucking storm and running aground.
I think, like Padme, he just lost the will to live.
But didn't Dracula need this guy to get him to land?
Dracula's plan seems like very slapdash here.
Yeah, it's like, I kind of need the crew intact to get the ship here. Then they can all die. It's kind of dumb to kill him mid-voyage.
After Dracula crashes the ship, the reports say that a giant ghost dog leapt off the ship and ran away. And that's Dracula. He can change himself into a dog.
Oh my God, what? That was Dracula?
Yeah, so Dracula gets away. He's in England now, wandering around. His crates of dirt are still on the ship. He has other lawyers come pick those up. There's a whole big letter exchange between the lawyers about who's going to do what for what price, where the dirt's going to go. It's going to go to Dracula's house. And then it's like, okay. So we got the dirt into England. We've imported our shady dirt. And Dracula, dog form, leapt off the ship. One interesting thing I wanted to say is if you haven't watched Nosferatu, either the silent film or the Werner Herzog remake, they do an interesting thing with the ship crash where the captain doesn't suspect it's some psychopath murdering people. I think they find the bodies and they suspect it's plague. And so then when Dracula shows up, the entire town goes into quarantine mode. And Dracula's just like slowly picking people off and they're blaming it on plague. And so that's kind of cool. It's not what happens in the book. But...
No, of course not. Plague isn't something you joke around about, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Victorian England, okay? We just installed a gigantic sewer system so we wouldn't shit ourselves to death. It's not funny.
It's a little funny. So yeah, Dracula's in town, and about the time Dracula shows up in town, Miss Lucy takes a turn for the worse.
Oh my god. Quick, call the local psychologist.
He's also a doctor. I think everybody does everything. And they don't know a lot about medicine right now. Like, a doctor is a doctor is a doctor. You don't need to specialize. You're having heart trouble? Drink a brandy. You're having a headache? Drink a brandy. You're a little anemic? Better believe you're drinking a brandy.
Goddamn right. You got your back broken and your face smashed in?
Pour a little brandy on it. Yeah.
So Lucy's deteriorating. She's all pale and shit. You gotta call the psychologist. We gotta get some barbiturates and some brandy in here. Mix them together. It's really powerful shit. You will sleep for days.
So they call the psychologist Dr. Jonathan Seward.
Yeah, I didn't like that two people are named Jonathan. Bram, you idiot.
Yeah, why didn't you name one of them Bram? That's a great...
Yeah, you name them two different things so I don't have to guess who's talking.
Yeah, this is a pro tip about writing. One.
Yeah.
Do not name two characters with the same letter. 2. Do not name them the same name, George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
That's why nobody knows who's son of what.
Yeah.
Jerk.
Idiot.
Okay.
Believe that fucking guy. Alright, so what does Jonathan Seward say? Besides, oh, it really sucks that she didn't accept my proposal. What does he say?
I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to call a doctor who specializes in this sort of thing.
This sort of thing being anything that isn't the brain, because I'm a fucking psychologist. Alright.
So he calls in...
Now pitching for the Red Sox, number 19.
Dr. Van Helsing. Now, unlike many portrayals of Dr. Van Helsing, where he is some sort of leather-clad, crossbow-wielding badass, the real Dr. Van Helsing is an elderly Dutchman with a tenuous grasp on the English language.
An elderly Dutchman from somewhere in Eastern Europe.
Yeah. His English is bad, but, like, his vocabulary is perfect. Like, he knows all the words, just not the order they should go in all the time.
Friend John.
Friend John, I am pleased to have letter from your very warm house. And also good woman Mina.
So yeah, what does he recommend after he sees all of her symptoms? She's pale, she's weak, every night she sleepwalks somewhere and like, she has these weird nightmares and...
She has these weird nightmares where this red-eyed demon man is calling to her and telling her to get up and unlock the door and come to him. And just get up and unlock the door. The key is under the mat. Unlock the door and come to me. Isn't that weird? And then I do that. And then I come back and I'm like 4 pints of blood less.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, I'm just exhausted and drained.
So Van Helsing quickly realizes that Lucy has less than the normal amount of blood in her body.
Yeah.
And he needs to do something about that. And ever since I read this scene, I think I texted you the very first time I read this scene years ago, because I had to know what the consequences would be if you gave someone blood of a non-matching type.
Hemolysis.
Yeah, so what I didn't know, and I want you to explain to the audience, is like, I know it's bad, but I don't know if it's just like, is it ineffective or actually damaging?
Yeah. So, if you just decided to, I don't know, randomly give blood to someone because you thought that that's how blood transfusions worked, if your blood is not compatible, the blood's just gonna start, like, killing the cells. Like, it's bad. It's worse than if you just didn't have that blood in you, because your body sees them as foreign cells to be broken down. And so now you've got a bunch of broken down blood cells that you can't use as blood cells, but you've just got all the extra components and bullshit in your body.
Okay, so that would probably, in a person that's already having bad circulation, kill them?
Yeah, it could, and has done that.
What Van Helsing does with Lucy, she routinely every night loses a bunch of blood. Van Helsing very quickly, he's described as being a very open-minded dude. When he's so open-minded, he immediately identifies this as a vampire problem. He knows exactly what's going on, but he knows nobody will believe him if he says we got us a vampire. So he's very secretive about the measures he's taking to try to help her, but we definitely need to replace the blood she's lost or she's going to die. So I think his actual words are, the action of the heart will be impeded, in old-timey doctor speak. So he gives her the blood transfusion. The first transfusion he gives her, it's got to be from John.
Is it really from John? It was going to be from John, but then they're like, wait a minute, Arthur is even younger and manlier.
All right, okay.
Yeah, because he's like, all right, Dr. Seward, you're younger than I am. You'll do... Oh, wait. There you go. Her future husband, or maybe current husband. I can't remember.
Get out of my way, you beta cuck. There's a Chad in the room.
Yeah, and Arthur, he's like, she needs blood. And Arthur, like, almost faints. And so Van Helsing's like, God damn it, you're a man. You're a man, Arthur. You eat meat. You lift dumbbells, you kick down doors, you're a fucking man. Get the fuck up and get this needle in your arm, you manly Chad.
She needs Chad blood if she's gonna survive.
Yeah, come on.
I almost put this beta cuck's blood in her arm. Do you know what would have happened? She'd have woken up weak and pussified.
He has to give Arthur a pep talk. Like, you gotta do this. You gotta be a man. Man!
Now you're a man!
So Arthur gives her the blood, and Arthur's like, I feel like we basically just had sex.
And yeah,
that becomes hilarious. That becomes a hilarious in-joke later.
I feel like we just had sex. Oh man, I can't wait to actually have sex with my wife. Am I right, guys? I'm sure that she's gonna get better, and we're gonna get to turn off the lights one of these days. You know what I mean?
I know, yeah, she's going to be great at that. So, here's the thing. So Arthur gives the blood, and this also made me laugh. Lucy wakes up the next day, and Arthur's not there, but she feels his warm presence. Like he's just holding her and giving her a big hug, and like she could feel him flowing in her veins.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is not what blood is, guys.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if you've ever gotten a transfusion, but like, if you get blood from an especially hot man, feel that shit. Oh, it's better than drugs.
So Lucy takes all this blood like a champ, and then the next night, just like the ditzy blonde she is, she loses it all again.
Yeah, she has this dream where like this guy beckons her outside, and then something happens, and then she just hears like, oh, what the fuck is this blood that I'm drinking? It doesn't taste like sexy. It tastes like manly and Axe body spray. What the fuck? I mean, I'm still drinking it, don't get me wrong, but I'm really disappointed in you.
Look, when Dracula doesn't have a lot of options, he will occasionally go down on 4 Russian dudes.
Yeah, he does. Sometimes you gotta suck it up, but like, man, really disappointed.
I'm not just gonna not drink blood just because it's dude blood, okay? Like, daddy's gotta eat. But I would prefer hot young woman blood. But daddy's kind of fluid like that. Okay, so Helsing, he makes some calls and he figures out, okay, we got a vampire. We got to do something about this. John, quick, give her some of your blood. Take some of the blood out of John, and then he throws John away.
Yeah, you just keep mixing more and more blood.
John, I have taken most of your blood. Here's some brandy. It's pretty much the same thing. What happens if you drink without a lot of blood?
You're gonna feel pretty fucked up.
Okay, so John is just trashed on the couch.
Yeah, he's drunk and he's high from the effects of anemia. Because Van Helsing took a lot of blood.
Don't do this at home, kids. Don't chase that blood high. So he puts all this garlic around Lucy. And he's like, Lucy, you don't take this fucking garlic off. You don't let anyone touch the garlic. I'm putting it on the windows. I'm putting it on the doors. You are a garlic woman now. You love garlic. You're never going to be without this garlic. And as long as you have this garlic, and only as long as you have this garlic, you will live. And she's like, you know what? I'm in. Okay. I like you. You got a funny accent and you're nice to me. And I'm not a complicated woman. So yeah, garlic it is.
The blood of 4 strong men flows in her veins is what I
Not
wrote
yet,
down.
just 2.
But
well,
yes,
1.5.
It gets there. And Van Helsing tells her not to open the doors or windows. And then her mom is there. Her mom has a heart condition where she gets spooked at all, she is going to die. Like, if you startle her, her heart is going to give out and she'll collapse to the ground and die. Her mother almost poo-pooed the idea of him keeping watch. What? She poo-pooed? Oh my god. Okay.
People say that. I mean,
yeah, they shouldn't.
So yeah, somebody takes away the garlic. Her mom takes away the garlic.
Her mom's
She's
like, what is all this gross smelling stuff? Get this out of here. I'm also going to open the windows so that you get some air in here.
So it's funny because Helsing is all proud of himself. He's like, we got this vampire problem licked, man. I'm going to go in there. That garlic's going to be top notch. You're going to see. Once the garlic works, I can tell you why. You're finally going to understand what's going on with all this. And he's like, hey, Mrs. Westenra, how's Lucy doing? She's like, well, better, but only because I got rid of all that smelly garlic, you weird foreigner. And he's like, uh-huh. That's awesome. That's so great. That's so smart of you. Yeah. And then she leaves the room and he's like, John, get the fuck up there. We got to go now. And again, I'm exaggerating, but that is how it plays out in the book. Like, John comments in his journal that Van Helsing's eyes, like, he's smiling, but it doesn't reach his eyes. And like his eyes went really wide, and John knows something's wrong. And then as soon as she's out of the room, so he won't give her a shock, he runs up there, and wouldn't you know it, Lucy's, just a sad, bloodless sack. And Helsing's like, God damn these people. and he's like, and he goes on this whole rant. He's like, what do we do? You can't tell the mom what's going on because then she'll die. And if I don't tell her what's going on, she's just going to keep doing stupid shit and undermining me at every turn. So I guess the only thing we could do is I'm going to put more garlic around here. John, by the way, get prepped. We're going to have to give her my blood this time. and then I'm going to put more garlic around, and then one of us is going to have to stay here to make sure that dumbass doesn't take it away. And so they do. It works for a while, and until it doesn't. And then Lucy, the garlic gets moved again, and every time Lucy falls asleep, she goes into this weird hypnotic state where she's trying to take the garlic off, and that's strange. It's not like we can just, I don't know, tie her down. That is a kind of extreme step. Van Helsing's like walking on thin ice already. He's probably not like, you know what, rope play.
You know what you should do, right? Is when the mom is walking around with like a tray for tea, you just jump out and yell "Booga booga booga!" and like, all right, that's one problem taken care of. Take her out back, put her in a shallow grave, and let's protect Lucy, because Lucy is that kind of Victorian hot, if you know what I mean, and she's in danger.
Lucy gets drained again.
Yeah, she does.
And we are out of strong men. Panicking here.
No, I'm assuming, did Quincy not donate blood? He said the
No,
blood of 4 strong men. So at some point, yes.
I'm getting there. I'm
Okay.
telling the story.
Oh, right. Jesus Christ.
Okay. So yeah, we're all out of strong men, except wasn't there some dude sitting in the foyer waiting to deliver a letter?
A pizza with his oh, sorry.
And then that's when John goes out and he's like, "My God, Quincy Morris, give me your robust American blood."
If all Americans are built like he, there'll be a powerful country indeed someday.
Yeah, you might be surprised about how things turn out. The European Union and then your subsequent Brexit from it.
Especially after you tried so hard to get into it in the first place. Took you like 2 decades to get in, I think? Charles de Gaulle really did not want you guys in there, and he said it's because, you would prioritize America instead of the EU, and like, man, you really just proved him right. I hate to say it, Charles de Gaulle was right. I really hate to say that. That hurts me to say.
If you take one thing away from Dracula, Charles de Gaulle was right. So Lucy gets the blood of a 4th strong man. But Lucy's not looking so good anymore.
Because you have to get all 8 robot masters to win the game. So she needs 4 more strong dudes to go to town on her with their blood.
She is now, her canine teeth are looking pretty sharp. She's not bouncing back quite as quick anymore. And weirdly, we have cut to a clipping from a newspaper that is talking about a missing wolf at the zoo.
Oh my God.
And this, in what is frankly a classist description of the zookeeper, the zookeeper is interviewed by the newspaper, and he's like, "Well, the thing about wolves, sir, is that the wolves, they come and they go, and sometimes I says a wolf's as scared of you as you are of it. I says,
I'm
and this
from
wolf,
Blackpool or Liverpool, one of those two. They're the bad one."
This wolf, governor, if you don't mind if I say so myself, he looked like a bit of a fancy bloke. So, like, this is a wolf here. He's probably a big old baby. This wolf, he's been fed his breakfast every day for the last 23 years. He's a very long-lived wolf. And, so he probably don't even know what to do with himself. And then, oh, God, blimey, that's him at the window right now. He's knocking on my door. And then, oh my God, that's my old wolf buddy, and he's covered in broken glass and blood, and got blonde hair in his fucking teeth. Oh my God, well, let's get you a piece of meat here, governor. Oh my God.
What the fuck was that?
That's the newspaper interview.
Oh my God. Was there any weird class thing going on in this book?
Yes.
I kind
Bram Stoker doesn't like bar people.
Like, is there a thing where, like, there was no way they could have beaten Dracula if they didn't have all this privilege of being
Look,
like, rich?
Bram Stoker likes 3 things. Strapping men, hot blondes, and shorthand.
But I'm not gonna lie. I read some because of my hypnotic state when I was listening to this book. I did go through some cliff notes, right?
Okay.
And one of them seems to imply that, like, there's some sort of class undertone, like pro-poor person. Like, wow, look at...
I wouldn't say that.
I would
I'd
not say that either. I did not get that at all.
There's an anti-aristocrat tone. I think the fact that all of these young professionals are the ones to defeat the evil count...
not
does,
Arthur, sir.
No, not Arthur. He is a lord, but he's kind of a cool lord. Like, he doesn't want people to call him lord. He's like, that Lord Godalming's my dad's name. Okay, I'm just
profiting off his money. I mean, yeah.
I'm just sir.
Like you know, the diamond mines. That was my dad's thing. Just call me Elon, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I've been thinking about, like, what if, like, but credit cards, but like online.
Yeah.
If I bought a rocket company, am I just like a rocket scientist then? I think so, right? And yeah, so Elon Musk's a piece of shit.
Yeah, someone should probably, like, stop him.
Let me tell you about Bram Stoker and his classist bullshit. Let me tell you about Florence Stoker, okay?
Oh, Jesus.
Florence Stoker, when Nosferatu came out, Nosferatu was kind of like a German, like, indie film done by a bunch of weird art kids. And they were wearing, like they sent her a copy or an invitation or photos from the premiere or something like that. And she didn't like the cut of their jib, and she thought they were ripping off her intellectual property. And she then sued the shit out of them and tried to destroy every copy of Nosferatu in existence.
Jesus,
which she almost did. Except it had gone, like, worldwide, and there were a bunch of bootlegs, and so they have reconstructed it in its entirety, but not despite Florence Stoker's best efforts. So, yeah, they were kind of weird people. They were definitely not for the poor man, but I would say they are anti-aristocrat. And these people are rich, but, like, they also still have to work for their money, except Arthur. So, you know... I guess that's basically poor.
Yeah, that is basically poor. You're right. Woe is me. I have to work for my third swimming pool. I have to work to afford my croupier or whatever the fuck you said. What is it?
Crudité.
Crudité. Get fucked, Dr. Oz. God.
Oh, Lord. Okay. So we should probably, now that the wolf is safe.
Thank God.
We should probably hear things from the wolf's perspective. Thankfully, the wolf took a detailed journal. He had decided to take up journaling between feedings, and he was teaching himself shorthand. So the wolf kept very detailed notes on where he was that night.
Perfect.
The wolf was taken by a kind of hypnotic spell. He was called all the way to this town that I can't remember the name of. And then he's looking through the window and he sees this girl and her mom, you know, lighting a fire, going to bed. And then the voice tells him, jump through the window. He's like, what? No, I don't want to jump through the window. Just jump through the fucking window. He's like, oh, fine. Okay. And then the wolf jumps through the fucking window. And then that is a shock, as you know, most people would be shocked. Well, Lucy's mom, you know, she Chekhov's heart condition.
Got him.
You don't want to, yeah. And so, yeah, she has a heart attack and dies on top of Lucy. I don't know.
You having fun over there?
So Lucy. Oh god! So Lucy's dead mom collapses on top of her and pins her to the ground. She's so fat. Oh god! Yeah, no.
You broke yourself. You cracked yourself.
I just pictured this woman just falling on top of Lucy, and like, how fat must she be that a grown
Lucy's
woman
also
can't
an
lift?
anemic, right?
That's true, I guess. But she's got the blood of 4 strong men, or at least 3. No, so anyway, yeah, so Lucy, she finally manages to like get out from under her mom or whatever, and she's like, no, I think this is when she gets Quincy's blood, actually. I don't remember.
I don't know either. I thought she was kind of done after the wolf jumped in.
Yeah, no, she doesn't die here. I remember this now. So she writes a little note about how, you know, if I die here tonight, this is all the stuff that happened, and basically there's a wolf and a bat, and somebody drains her blood, and then she's found the next morning, and they try to fix her up, but it's like, oh boy, I don't think there's enough strong male blood in the world to bring her back from this one.
Yeah,
so
because they refuse to look over at America for more.
She's dying now. We can't take blood from a woman. That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So she's dying now. I don't think Helsing's like, I can't bring her back. You better get Arthur in here. She's dying. And Arthur comes in a lot more charitable towards Helsing than I would be. And it's like, oh my God, Lucy. And then Lucy's like, she like her eyes light up red, and she's like, Arthur, my love, come closer. Come closer to your wife.
Like,
Give me a kiss.
I like where this is going. Fuck yeah.
And yeah, even John Seward is like, whoa. Yeah, Lucy, we're still in the room, man. And
yeah, at least have the decency to turn the lights out and give us some time to look in the opposite direction. No, none of this gross PDA, am I right?
Arthur's like, oh my God. Okay.
And he whips it out.
Van Helsing rips him off, and he's like, no.
Bro.
No.
Bro, my wife is dying. She wants some of this action. I'm whipping out my lips, you know what I mean? Mwah, mwah. I'm going for it. Get out of the way.
And then Lucy thanks Van Helsing for saving Arthur. She kind of knows what's up now. And then when she finally gets control of herself, like he gives her a tasteful peck on the cheek or something.
He kisses his fingers, like, and then he puts his fingers up to her forehead and says, there, old girl.
And then Lucy dies.
And then her mom has a second heart attack.
The first victim of Dracula's on the British Isle.
Okay, I was going to say, as long as you don't count any of the foreigners, but I see you provided
the first innocent victim. The first one anyone would care about. And I am sorry, but that is where we are going to have to end part 1. I don't think I'm going to make it to the Bloofer Lady tonight.
No, I think this is probably it.
Yeah, this is where we got to end part 1.
Is this a 2-parter still, you think?
I'm hoping it is a 2-parter. If it needs to go on for 3, I guess it'll go on for 3.
Well, you're the one who has to come up with whatever we're doing after this, so that's all on you.
Okay, so we're going to say tenuously this is a 2-parter. May go for 3. I don't want it to go for 3, because I don't think... I'll come up with something. Don't you worry. We can always talk for hours and hours. We've established that.
Yeah, and then after that, we're doing Memories of My Melancholy Whore.
That's your fault.
And then after that, we're doing Claimed, Ben. November is a very weird month.
When's Jeanette McCurdy's book?
Right after that, at the end of November.
Ah, that's a good Thanksgiving one. Okay. So yeah, we're going to stop here. We will pick up the conversation next time with what happens to Miss Lucy after death.
She stays in the ground forever.
In the meantime, you can check us out on Twitter at WABpod, Instagram at Words About Books Podcast. There is a blog, blog.wordsaboutbooks.ninja, where we write some interesting stuff from time to time.
Sometimes
If
smut. Go on.
you think we deserve something extra, if you would like to hear what I expect is the copious amount of material that was cut from this episode, you could contribute to our Patreon at patreon.com/WABpod.
Also, you have to give a shout out to Brad and Jamie Walker, who are our top tier yacht plan supporting contributors.